You're listening to the Cool CLE Show.
I'm Jay, host of the Cool CLE Show, brought to you by CoolCleveland.com, putting you in touch with cool events, people, news, and neighborhoods in the Cleveland region. This week, we welcome back Quire Cleveland's artistic director, Jay White, ahead of its series of Christmas concerts, December 20th at St. Ignatius of the Antioch, December 21st at Our Lady of Peace Church, and December 22nd at St. Peter Catholic Church. We also have new music from 2 local acts, so stay tuned. But first, here's some more events I think should be on your calendar. Skate-tacular in the Square features a stunning holiday light display throughout the 6.5-acre park and programs including live choral performances, a meet and greet with Santa Claus every Saturday and Sunday in December, as well as other holiday character appearances. Wintertide at Gordon Square is a free all-ages art-infused festival returning to the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood from 2 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, December 14th for its 4th year. You can enjoy unique local shopping and encounter pop-up performances, musical, interactive, and visual throughout the Gordon Square Art District storefronts, theaters, and streetscape. The free Kids Zone at Near West Theater includes hands-on activities and photos with Santa, and a free trolley whisks you to the Cleveland Bazaar's handmade holiday market at 78th Street Studios. Santa will also arrive at Mitchell's Ice Cream's Ohio City shop from the North Pole on December 15th at 11:30 a.m. to hear your Christmas wishes and sit for pictures. An eclectic mix of shopping and music at the Beachland Holiday Flea and Record Fair on Sunday, December 15th. The event will feature over 20 vendors selling amazing artwork, classic vinyl, and cool vintage items. Swing by the Nature Center at Shaker Lakes on December 20th for a magic luminary walk along the new All Peoples Trail. You can take a holiday selfie at the whimsical Rose Foundation gazebo and warm up inside by the fire while sipping some cocoa. And this local band, the Chestertons, will be hosting its 4th annual A Very Chestertons Christmas at the Coda on December 20th at 8 p.m., featuring music from Jerry Poppel, Emily and Ivory, Vanishing Shores, and of course the Chestertons. Here's its latest single, Is This Real Enough Yet?
Is this real enough yet? Can you still feel every regret? I've tried so hard to forgive and forget. Is this real enough yet? Is there a future we both can accept? Something more than a final emotional trap. The curse by the door, unplayed records on the floor. The stranger we both ignore. Is this real enough yet? There is no promise I wish to break. There is no love that Is this real enough? Yeah.
I'm so glad to have Jay White back. He is the artistic director for Quire Cleveland, a very, very unique and a fantastic asset that we have in our city's cultural environment. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Well, thank you for having me again.
So this is a really important time for the choir. You've got a series of Christmas concerts coming up. Friday the 20th at St. Ignatius of Antioch, Saturday the 21st at Our Lady of Peace, and Sunday the 22nd at St. Peter Catholic Church. This is Carols for Choir 10. So before we get into details of the concert, can you just kind of talk us through sort of the origins of Quire Cleveland? Because you're quite unique.
Sure, of course. So this is our 12th season. The organization sort of began because there were a group of people who wanted to sing music mostly from Tudor England, which is around the early part of the 17th century and before, and also some music from the continent of Europe in a setting that was not always going to be in a church. And Ross Duffin, who was one of the founders of the organization, he was a professor at Case Western Reserve University in their musicology department. And he had been there for 40 years. So he and a couple of his colleagues and some singers from the local churches got together and essentially created the first season of Quire Cleveland, basically just getting together and saying, let's see what we can put together. And it worked out quite well for them. So they decided we're going to go ahead and do another series of concerts the next year. So it kind of grew from there. And most of the music that we do perform is from the Renaissance, Europe and England, if you want to be a little bit more specific. But we have branched out and gone into, more modern pieces from both the U.S. and also from the continent. And I think one of the more unique aspects of choir is that we try to remain fairly small in our forces. So, for example, this concert we will have 15 singers, which is fairly small considering. Sometimes we're as large as 24. This time we'll be quite intimate, shall we say. And each year we aim to provide at least 2 programs or 2 projects per season. This year we're fortunate enough to do 3, and we're happy to say we're going to be doing 3 projects next season as well. So things are working out very well for the ensemble, and I would venture to guess that one of the gems that is part of the ensemble is that we're all from the Cleveland area, and many of us are performers and educators. I would say a good portion of the group has either taught in K through 12 or in higher education. So there's a component of wanting to make sure that we're bringing the most informed information to our audience and also to the ensemble as well.
So what sort of unique challenges for you? And when you're picking some of these pieces of music, I'm looking at a draft of the program, Gregorian chant and these 15th century French songs. What sort of unique challenges have you got as an artistic director to pick them and then bring them to life?
That's a very good question. I think for me, the greatest challenge is I always have ideas. That's rarely an issue. So let me just give you an example with this particular concert. I had wanted to do a carols program, but I didn't want it to be strictly just Christmas carols alone. Something that Quire had done in the past was they did a program that had old settings of carols and new settings of carols, and I wanted to find a way to sort of tap into that. When I was going through sort of my files, I thought, well, we are going to be in Advent, so what are some of those Advent carols? And the very first one that popped up was O Come, Emmanuel, which in a sort of synopsis, if you want to say, or a paraphrasing of the 7 great O antiphons that we are using for this particular program. So then from there, I went to the lovely Google and I said, find me some settings of these great O antiphons that happen to be from the Renaissance. And as it happens, there are these 17th century settings that were printed by a Paris publisher, Pierre Attagnan, in the 17th century. And I was fortunate to find an editor who had edited them. So we are going to be using his editions. And from there, I said, well, I'd like to bring in a modern arrangement, meaning from the 19th century forward, of some Christmas carols that might correspond somewhat loosely sometimes to the particular antiphon text.
Okay.
And that's how this particular program came together. And first it started off small, and then it kind of kept growing and growing, and to the point of where I said, well, if we're going to do carols, we might as well involve the audience as well. So do come, because there's going to be a sing-along as well.
I see that. I see that. And is that Hark the Herald Angels Sing? Is that so that we can practice?
Yeah, so we're doing O Come All You Faithful and Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Okay, fabulous.
Yep.
I know those.
Good.
I definitely know those.
Good.
I'm good. I had the pleasure of seeing your Virgin Mary themed Mother's Day choir early in the year, and I think because obviously there's no instruments in your performances, and the church that I saw you in was just absolutely beautiful. It was white. It had these beautiful stained glass windows. The whole ambiance and the experience was certainly there. Is there anything that you take into consideration when you're choosing the venues? So with the 3 churches that you're going to be performing in here at the end of the month, is there any sort of considerations you take into when you're choosing the places that you go to perform?
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned that, because the churches that we have for this particular project are, I won't say small, but they are smaller than some, for example, St. John's Cathedral downtown. So they are smaller venues that we will be performing in, and they allow a little bit more of an intimacy. And if you kind of think of, if you're one of those people who have grown up in the church and might go home for their Christmas Eve service where they turn the lights down, and they're like, we're not going to be doing that necessarily, but it is much more of an intimate setting. We do have to take into consideration to some extent what church or what venue we're choosing to sing in, and whether or not that's going to affect the output of the sound, and possibly even affect the repertoire choices. So indeed.
Well, I can attest, when I saw you guys sing, it was beautiful. It certainly elicited a lot of emotion. There's something, not tribal, but just like sort of, just biological response that comes from hearing the music,
sure,
in that setting. And like I said earlier, a truly unique cultural offering in our city that I've not seen anywhere else in the time that I've been around. So this is a free concert inherently.
It is.
Can we talk a little bit about how, so people can go to the concert, but how can they support what you guys are doing and the important work that you're doing in sort of keeping this music alive? Sure.
Well, one of the things we decided is we feel strong about making sure that people hear this kind of repertoire that's been around for hundreds of years. And of course, in spaces where this repertoire was almost written for these types of spaces. And in so doing, we're going to provide all of the concerts this year for free, with asking for a suggested donation of $25 per person. And one of the things that's been beneficial to us is that people will come that have never heard the ensemble before, and they will, fortunately for us, become somewhat of a member of the family and come multiple times to other concerts, and each time giving us a donation that they're able to do. And so that kind of giving back and forth is we are giving the gift that we have been blessed with to the greater Cleveland community, and we hope that that will inspire them to continue to support the ensemble, our ensemble specifically, and hopefully other arts organizations within the Cleveland area. I mean, Cleveland is, to my mind, quite a gem in the cultural arts, and so to have a place in that within Cleveland, and then now extending even down into Akron, that has been incredibly rewarding to the ensemble. And you can tell that there are other ensembles and other arts organizations in the area that are expanding, and we are surviving what could have been, a downturn at one point, but now things are, quite well as far as the interest. And we're going to ride it as much as we can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for coming on the show and talking about Quire Cleveland and, of course, the concerts that you have coming up. Again, those dates are December 20th at St. Ignatius of Antioch, Saturday the 21st at Our Lady of Peace, and Sunday the 22nd at St. Peter Catholic Church. More information at quirecleveland.org. That's Quire with a Q, Quire, Cleveland, all one word, .org, or you can like them on Facebook as well. Thank you again, Jay, and a Merry Christmas if I don't see you before.
And a Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
We now have new music from Liberty Light Machine called For Those Who Are No Longer With Us. This is a track from its latest EP, Inevitable Is Now, released in November. It's available on Bandcamp and Amazon. And that's it for this episode of the Cool CLE Show. Many thanks to Jay White and Quire Cleveland for coming on the show to talk about its upcoming Christmas concerts. Remember, those dates are December 20th at St. Ignatius of the Antioch, December 21st at Our Lady of Peace, and December 22nd at St. Peter Catholic. Please check them out and support them in their mission to keep medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque choral music in our community. And also thanks to the Chestertons and Liberty Light Machine for the new music. You've been listening to the Cool CLE Show, brought to you by CoolCleveland.com. Have a good one.